Some of the content may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, please seek immediate assistance by calling your local emergency services or contacting a mental health crisis hotline. This information is not intended to be a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult a qualified mental health professional for any questions or concerns you may have regarding your mental health. This is Psyched Out, honest conversations about mental health with registered psychologists Lindsay Wright and Stephen Tripodi.
I like the business is fun.
I'm like 10% into the business is fun and 90% into I really just like being a therapist. For that, where I'm excited now because we're starting to look at like more social events, so like having a games night, big night.
For clients, alcohol included. BYOB, you can promptly not get served at Earl's for several hours with 4 toddlers. A manager came by at 8:30 and was like, "Can I get you guys like a round of drinks?" Yes, that's the answer, a round of drinks, because Jaeger bombs for all the toddlers.
I don't know that.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
They said, "Oh, that's horrible, please call us." And so then we never got back to it. I'm like, right, okay.
I just want to feed the children so they can go to bed an hour ago.
Yeah.
But thank you for reading the room.
Yeah.
Having very little insight.
That was frustrating. But anyway, so I'm excited for that, and we're gonna do some like fun run walk things.
Yeah.
So there's one in St. Albert, like a mental health one, which would be cool. And then
If it
the
involves
sidewalk,
walking, I'm out.
sidewalk chalk, and a golf tournament.
Oh, I'm into the golf tournament.
You didn't even respond.
What the fuck? Come on. If I am even a quarter as busy as you know how busy I am.
Right. But 2 weeks ago, Arden said we have free tickets to a golf tournament.
When?
June.
I might actually already be in this golf tournament.
Canadian Mental Health Association.
No, but I'm actually doing a golf tournament in June already, so I don't think I can come to that one.
It's in Sherwood Park. But
that's the one. I'm doing one in Sherwood Park. So where is it?
I'm not sure, but
is it the Legends?
It's CASA. It's like supporting CASA.
Okay, how much? Is it still free?
It would be free if you went with the 2 tickets that we paid for you.
Well, is it still an option?
You'd have to ask Arden.
Okay.
Who emailed about it weeks ago.
Dial it down from 11. Okay.
Or you could respond to the WhatsApp group message.
I don't go on
where
WhatsApp.
Daniela said, "Anybody want to start a golf team?"
Okay. Listen, Lindsay. I'm going to lay it to you straight. I love being a part of the Summit team, but I don't have time. I literally don't have time to even look at the messages.
You don't have to. You just said, "I would love to play golf." And I was giving you the options where golf is included.
I feel like the rogue team member. I'm trying to think of
You're the black sheep.
I'm trying to think of an apt analogy or metaphor, or some sort of because I'm here, but I don't really do anything besides see clients and this podcast. And I know some people, but I don't have the time to fully integrate into the ethos.
You don't have to. It's all mandatory.
It's all mandatory.
But yeah, there are options, which you could do if you wanted to.
Yeah, no, I get that. For the record. Okay. This is a problem, right? 1, Messenger, just regular messages. Okay. And then Messenger, and then Signal, and then Telegram, and then WhatsApp. I just can't. I can't with 5 messaging apps. I can't do it.
Pick one. I use WhatsApp because it's encrypted.
Oh, so is Messenger. So is the iPhone messages. Apple messages can't even be accessed by police services in murder investigations. It's encrypted. It's more encrypted than fucking WhatsApp. WhatsApp has so many data leaks in the past.
It's end-to-end encryption now.
Yeah, because they had terrible data leaks in the past.
And now they do not have any.
Yeah. And anyways, the point is that Apple Message has never been a problem for encryption.
Okay. Well, we use a WhatsApp.
No, I can't.
Then don't. But that's how you're missing out on the options for golf and stuff.
I get that. It's not that I don't want to. It's that I cannot be remembered to actually go check it.
You don't have to. You're arguing a point that's not argued.
I don't want to argue. I'm just saying. Can you just tell me?
No.
Oh man.
I hired somebody to tell you.
Well, she tells me I do read some of the emails.
Some.
Yeah, I sent her the info on cash now. Every time. If those tickets are still available, sure, maybe. Depends. It depends on what weekend it is. I'm going to a golf tournament in June in Sherwood Park already, so I don't know.
You know who you could ask? Arden. Yeah.
Okay. On a daily, how many clients do you see a week?
Depends on the week.
Just roughly.
Right now, I took a big step back because I'm going for most of the summer.
Okay, but like normally?
Normally about 15.
Okay. So I normally see 35.
I told you already, work-life balance, sir.
Yeah, but I like working here.
I meant at the other place.
You do know that the moment I do work-life balance, Summit goes bye-bye, but I don't want to do that, right? Because I like Summit. I like being here.
But you could easily take a day off at which one? What do you want me to call it now?
Just Little Tree. No, we might even just go LT because that's fun too. LT psychology, right? Just,
you could do that. Yeah. No one would know what it means and adults would come.
Yeah. Well, they kind of come. We'll see.
You take a day off at Little Tree so you can do administrative stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's like a lot of money. It doesn't make sense, right? Like, and again, I'm not going anywhere.
It does make sense.
No. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to take that day off. And that's not to say I'm not going anywhere here because I like it here and I like the supplemental income. But if I'm going to take a day off, it's going to be a Wednesday because I make less money here. And I'm not asking you to pay me more. I'm just saying you can't pay me more really at this point.
Not without losing money.
Yeah, at this point, it would be not profitable for you at all. But the point is like, yeah, if I'm going to take time off, it's going to be the Wednesday. A, I don't see 8 clients here a day, and B, I get less. So like,
okay, but this is the mindset that I keep telling you have to challenge.
I know.
A Monday. How many clients do you see on a Monday?
8.
Okay. Now imagine if you had a whole Monday dedicated to answering the phones live or
I do it between sessions,
managing marketing or advertising or working in SEO, and you had 3 other people seeing 8 clients on a Monday.
Yes, I totally agree with you.
Our podcasts are just becoming about business and private matter.
Yeah, I'm cool with it.
I'm not. I thought we were talking about couples.
Yeah,
or did you finally watch Shrink Next Door?
No, we're doing couples. Okay. Couples too. Yeah.
Because you haven't watched Shrink Next Door?
When? I'm going to. I promise. I'm going to. I started it and I will finish it.
Don't you do background noise while you're working?
Yeah. I mean, lately, like Jess has not been going to bed as early, so we've been hanging up a bit more. I've been trying to watch Attack on Titan too. Do you know about that? Mm-mm. Okay. Well, I've been evangelized. It's like an anime. I'm not really into anime, but it's pretty good.
Okay. I'm too busy trying to stay awake long enough to watch all the freaking playoff games.
Yeah, they start pretty late.
8:50, not 9 p.m. 8:50 on a Sunday. What the hell?
I like. Speaking of which, that reminded me that like we'll get to couples in a second. When that business thing that we were doing on the 15th of May, yeah, that's my birthday, so I expect a cake.
Okay.
Okay, no, you're not supposed to just comply willingly.
Well,
you're supposed to grudgingly acquiesce to the cake.
Why? It's your birthday.
And
now that I know it's your birthday, you're absolutely
because nobody else
cake.
knows me.
And it's going to be awkward because we're all going to sing happy birthday.
Oh my God.
And everybody's going to be like, who is this guy and why am I singing happy birthday?
Informing you. I was hoping this wouldn't be so enthusiastic.
I love birthdays.
Yeah. I mean, I took the day off because like, and then we scheduled that day. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I'll come to a meeting in the morning and then I'll go to Julio's and drink Bulldogs alone or something.
That part sounds sad, but at least you'll have cake in your system before you do the Bulldogs.
No, I won't drink alone on my birthday.
You can if you want to.
I mean, I never get to.
Right? That's kind of the thing. One of my favorite things to do now is be alone in a parking lot in my car because how often do you have time to do that?
Yeah, I had somebody talk to me about getting stuck in a country like by themselves because of like some passport issue, and they was like obviously very distressing for this person. But in my mind, I'm like, sounds kind of nice. Yeah,
I can't come back. It's not that I'm not wanting to. I literally can't. I might as well enjoy the silence. I can, in my parked car, I can listen to my music. And I can not have anybody go, mom, 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 mom.
See, I don't mind. I like talking to Allie in the car.
Sometimes it's
mostly Jess I want to be away from. Just kidding.
Or I'll listen to the podcast and he'll be like, Mom, this one's boring. I don't want to listen to this.
Well,
okay.
Sucks to suck. Yeah, that's fair.
All
okay,
right.
so couples 2. Where did we leave off with couples?
What are the 3 things you would tell people?
Yeah, we had a lot of couples. I'm like so fucking hopped up on coffee and mints right now, and I'm like super sore from baseball.
Mints?
Mints. I had a lot of mints this morning.
Okay.
That's all I had to eat. That's all there was in my car.
Why don't you eat before you come to work?
I didn't have time this morning. I was in a rush.
Okay.
So like I'm pretty just caffeine injection like right to the bloodstream.
Anyway,
so couples.
In half an hour.
What's that?
In half an hour.
It'll be fine. You're just cutting my time shorter and shorter every time.
No, it's till 11:30. You just keep showing up late.
No, we used to go till 12.
No, we didn't.
We did. A long time ago.
But then you were late for your clients.
No, I wasn't. It took 2 seconds to take this stuff down.
But we talk for a bit after.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Okay. Couples, 3 things. What was your last 3 thing?
I can't even remember.
So my last 3 thing with couples. Okay. So I think like we talked a little bit about like the reason, why we do couples counseling and why it can work and why it can't work in our approaches. But we didn't really talk about a lot of like intervention stuff.
Okay.
And
well,
like,
I don't know interventions because I don't do couples work, but go ahead and say some and I'll ask questions like
you don't do any couples at all ever?
General no.
You don't like it? I know you don't like it because it's difficult.
I don't like it. I have a bias towards whoever is getting, I don't know, criticized in the room.
Yeah.
For them. Like
it's funny. You tend to align with the person who is like obviously getting attacked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's funny because I often hear couples come in here and they complain that the therapist tends to always align with the person who chose to bring the dyad to the session.
Yeah.
And it often ends up being the male who gets attacked.
Yeah, I found that, and that's why I don't do couples, because I would be biased and I'm not helpful. And you're biased the other way too for those who are doing that. But I don't know. I just have a thing where if this person is getting shit on the whole time, all I want to do is like
help them
defend their part, right? Like, let's argue with why this person you keep telling them they suck. No.
Do you must have people talk about relationships though?
Oh yeah. So I work on the individual part of the relationship. And then when people come to me with like, oh, I'm frustrated with my relationship, my biggest like hard truth for them is you and I can work on communication and boundary and all this kind of stuff, but it's 50% of the problem. And what really needs to happen is the 2 of you need to go to couples therapy.
Yes. And you will not be providing that service.
No. Well, I wouldn't for that person anyway, because it would be a dual relationship. But
well, you can if it's been only a couple sessions and you're willing to be impartial.
I don't think I would, even if I was a couples counselor, if someone came to me for individual, we were doing individual work, I wouldn't then become your couples therapist.
No, it's the other way around more often. You start seeing them in couples and then one goes away and you see the one individually.
You could, but then you can never see them again in couples.
No, and normally you don't want to anyways.
And you couldn't see the other partner if they come back.
No, and you don't want to at that point anyways. Right?
So I just think that's too sticky. I just don't see you.
I love sticky and slippery.
Anyway, so that's how I do it in individual. Let's work on how you can communicate better and the things that might be triggering for you and work through those triggers so you're not being reactive as often.
Yeah.
However, it's 2 people. It takes 2 people. So you may do all this work and nothing really changes because it's only half the issue. Yeah.
Okay. So I think it's good to outline maybe why do people come to couples, right? Like, and I think the funny thing is I need to be extremely heteronormative here because like, I don't think that couples can be framed or conceptualized in non-heterosexual relationships the same way.
Why? I would say all relationships have the same type of struggle.
I disagree. I think there's like a huge gender and cultural component to why couples fight. So in my experience, and this is, okay, so I actually do, I have a lot of gay men on my caseload, right? I think obviously maybe gay men prefer to have a male counselor, possibly. I don't know if everyone else has that experience, but I tend to feel like I have a large proportion. And a lot of their primary issues are relationship issues. Like I don't have a lot of gay men who come in here and just have career issues or if they are, I don't know that they're gay men if they are, the ones that don't, but.
And those who are heterosexual, identify as female or male, don't come in with the same type of issue?
It would seem that my proportion of gay men with specific like romantic relationship issues, and I'm going to just unpack this a bit more, tend to be higher proportionately than my like average heterosexual person coming in for therapy. Like I don't talk about relationships with my heterosexual people as often, it feels like. Okay. I could be wrong. But anyway, so my hypothesis as to why this is, and I actually take this opportunity to, I think, like improve my therapeutic skill set, because I think that in order to be a better therapist for all sexualities and genders, you have to understand kind of like the plight of each existence. And from what I gather from talking openly with gay men about what their reported struggles are or concerns are, and this is multiple now. Again, this is anecdotal, but it's like, and it's qualitative, but it's from the ones I've spoken to with what I feel like to be a good breadth of demographic differences, is that gay men are complaining that there is a lack of historical context in which to base a romantic relationship off of. So not that we want to base heterosexual relationships off of history, obviously, but there is still a foundation of like, there's some like innate gender preferences, or at least learned from like a deep cultural perspective where,
but a toxic, very unhealthy one.
Absolutely, totally. But keep in mind, many men and women still like to cherry pick some of like the more like subtle pieces of that and like keep the parts they like and discard the parts they don't.
Do you know about the bear versus man thing?
No.
It's going around right now on social media.
Is it literally a man versus a bear? Because I think I could pick the winner.
No, it's asking people, like asking women, would you rather be? So I guess it started from a couple, and they said to the dad, would you rather our daughter be alone in the woods with a man or alone in the woods with a bear?
Good God. Obviously a man.
No, the answer is bear.
No. Objectively, if you don't say man, you're an idiot. But understandably, I know why they would pick bear.
Majority of females would pick bear.
Yeah, that's what I mean. A majority of females have a warped perception of men then.
Or lived experiences where...
lived experience are not representative of the actual danger of what a bear would present. Right? Like if you're alone in the woods with a bear, it's automatic death, and a very discomforting one, right? If you're alone in the woods with a man, yes, there's maybe a high propensity for danger, but there's also a chance the guy doesn't attack you. So like, I'm just going to like, just the odds, the math doesn't work out.
There's also a chance the bear doesn't attack you.
Say
you got a brown bear and you get really tall and screamy and you're like, get away from me, bear. And the bear goes, shit, I don't want to deal with this, and leaves.
Okay, well, it's easier to hide from a man though, because men don't have bear noses.
Right. But
so
when you
this is a dumb argument.
When you tell a man, leave me alone, some of them do not listen. Yeah,
some of the bears don't listen either. This is so stupid.
So 50-50.
I cannot believe we are having this conversation. We're equating the danger of a bear to a male. This is how far the feminist dissent has gotten.
I am
offended.
I think I poked a button for you.
Because I think this is such an unfair. Like, I know that there's lots of perpetrators out there that are male, but that is like such a ridiculous analogy.
I think it's knowledge that our pendulum is swinging in the other direction, which it needs to until it balances out.
Overcorrection is what it is.
But it always overcorrects until it balances out.
And I'm the first one to say that. What I'm saying though is that like, if you're going to choose, assassin versus man, sure, I'll take the assassin. Bear death is probably more unpleasant than male predator. Bear death. Have you heard of what bears do to people? You don't die immediately. It's a long, painful, horrifying death.
Sometimes it is with men too.
It's not. No, that's not fair. Come on.
I watch a lot of true crime.
You do watch a lot of true crime. At least the guy kills the girl quickly. The bear doesn't do that. He eats you alive. That's horrifying.
In none of my true crime is it about a bear.
It's because it's not crime if it's a bear.
Yeah, you never know.
Bears, we don't get mad at bears.
There was that cocaine bear.
Yeah, we don't punish bears
that was
for
a
doing
crime
bear
story.
things, right? No. Okay. So I'm going to go on a limb here and say that over 70% of the male population would not be a threat to women.
Okay. I'm going to take you. I clearly poked you in a soft spot.
Because I'm not that guy.
I never said you were.
No, I know. But like, I think
if someone said, if you were alone in a forest with Steven or a bear, who would you choose? Steven.
I'm going to say I don't know a guy that I would not choose if I were a female in my friend group.
In your friend group?
Mm-hmm.
If it was a bear or John Wayne Gacy, who would you choose?
Who's that? Is literally, who is that?
Are you kidding?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Give me maybe I know that what happened. I don't know the name.
He's a super gross serial killer.
Oh, I know a lot of other serial killers, just not him.
Okay. If you were alone in a forest with a bear or Ted Bundy.
Me, I could probably overpower Ted Bundy.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you have an advantage.
Yeah.
And therefore it's okay.
But that's a bad question for a male, because male versus male versus male versus bear. I'm going to take the guy every time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think the point of the argument here is that there is a large vocal population of women who have been disenfranchised by obviously bad men, and that population of men is not proportional to the population.
I would correct that to say not bad men, but badly behaved men.
Sure, whatever.
I don't want to label somebody as you were inherently bad because you made some wrong choices, because a lot of men are learning as they go. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't believe that. I'm really embarrassed with how I spoke in the locker room when I was a kid. I didn't know better. No,
I get that, but I also don't want to conflate that I spoke poorly in the locker room with I have the ability to rape someone. Like that's not okay.
Right, but I guess even there, do you not see that there could be corrective behavior happening?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I just think that, again, like, you're probably safe with 90% of men. Probably. You're not going to get raped by 90% of men.
Are you going to feel unsafe with only 10% of men?
That's not that guy's fault. That's the 10%'s fault who have perpetuated that. That has nothing to do with that male who has never done anything wrong in their life. That's not that. What are they supposed to do?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a man, so I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I can tell you that, like, the problem is that, men, there's an overcorrection that is going to have harm. Like, there's harm against men who, like, men are obviously in privilege and power all the time, but you can't correct and overcorrect without causing some, like, ethical problems to one of the populations. And I think men are seen as unnecessarily bad when they're not. Some of them aren't. Most of them are not, right? And so to paint them all with one brush is intellectually dishonest and probably equally problematic.
I think painting them all with one brush until you know you're safe is a survival tool.
Yeah, that's fair. So I guess the point is that those women would be wrong then to pick that. That would be the bad choice.
Why?
Because they are painting them all with one brush and they don't actually know. Because the chance, if they take the bear, they die probably. But chances are, if they take the man, it's a good chance they're not going to be a rapist.
You don't know.
I think you're being ridiculous. I think you're being ridiculous to think that, like, that many men have that capability.
I think it's more a comment on our society and culture, that it would be even something to think about.
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. It's very obvious. Okay, so one's arguing sentiment, one's arguing numbers. Right. I'm arguing that the numbers are incorrect. The sentiment, sure. I guarantee that every female who's ever been a survivor of a male perpetuated crime is going to think that all men are dangerous. I get that. What I'm saying is, if you think logically, you're doing the math wrong if you pick the bear over the man.
Do you think the point of that question is logic?
No, but the point is that you have to get out of that idea that all men are going to perpetuate against you because one did. That's the healing process. But you can't live in that life where you believe all men are going to hurt you.
The only way to do that is to feel safe enough to then step out a little bit of that safety. The point is, it's not my responsibility to remedy the pay the mortgage of someone else's crime. Like, it's not my job to do that. I'm not going to do anything, but how am I supposed to make you feel safe? Besides doing nothing. I mean, do better than the generation before you.
I do, and most men do.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. again, there is a line between I'm being flirtatious and awful and maybe a little cringy and I'm a rapist. Like, come on. Like
flirtatious and awful when someone says no is still not consensual.
I didn't say no. I just said like, if you're gonna be that way, yeah, there's boundaries. When they say no, you stop. But again, also you're in a forest, that doesn't automatically assume that you're going to be, a dangerous person. I think the numbers are a little ridiculous.
I think you're taking it literally when it's supposed to be.
I think what it says is that any woman who has been a survivor is going to see men in a negative light. But that's not the responsibility of the men who have never perpetuated against women to fix. Because what are they supposed to do besides just continue not being awful? Like, I don't know.
Do better than the generation before.
But understand
where the women are coming from.
No, I totally get that. I do understand. What am I supposed to do? It's like, I'm not going to do anything. I don't know anyone. I don't believe I know anyone with the capacity to do that. So what are they supposed to do? Again, I think there's a small population of men who have probably ruined it for everybody. But I'm not willing to sit here and say like half the population of men have the propensity to be dangerous. That's like, society collapses if that's the case.
I don't think anyone said half the population of men are dangerous. But if half the women
think they'd pick the man over the bear.
You're taking it very literally.
Well, I
because it should be a very obvious the man, and it isn't.
What do you mean it should be obvious the man?
Like when someone asks that question, would you rather be alone in the forest with a bear or a man?
Yeah.
You should be able to say, well, obviously a man.
Yeah, well, you should. But then again, I'm curious about what the sampling data is for the women. What women were picked and why.
It started with asking a dad, hey, if our daughter was alone in the woods, would you rather she be with a bear or a man?
I'm going to pick a man every time. And I know this population, and I worked at places where men have been the primary perpetrators.
And the dad mulled it over.
Yeah, well, he picked wrong. I'm sorry, the math doesn't work out. It's just
you were so left brain.
No, I just think like the point is that what is the point of the question then? Is the point to actually make a good decision, or is the point to make a statement?
To make a statement, right. To have commentary that it should be an obvious answer, and it isn't.
It isn't obvious. And what does that say then? Like, what do you do about that besides shaming all men? Like, I don't understand.
Why does it have to be shaming all men? Why can't we, like in other areas, learn? You can't know what you don't know, but as soon as you know better, do better.
Okay, but
and be open to knowing better.
No, but this implies that the men who aren't doing anything need to do better, and there's nothing more for them to do.
You don't know that they're not doing anything.
No, but the ones that aren't.
Like what?
Like perpetuating against women.
Okay, if I didn't know you, and it's like 11 p.m. at night, and I get in an elevator, and you get in the elevator with me, I'm absolutely at the corner of that elevator where the button is. I understand
exactly where you're coming from. What am I supposed to do? Hey, by the way, you're safe.
No, but you could go to the other corner.
As opposed to what? It's a 6x6 box.
Give space.
I'm already in the corner.
Give a polite smile and then not try to make conversation.
Yeah, I don't do that already. I don't.
But other people don't. And they would go, but I'm a good guy. But in that situation,
you're telling me a guy who tries to make conversation, just like light pleasantries, is like perpetuating harm?
If he's making me feel uncomfortable, yeah.
Well, then what would make you feel uncomfortable?
I don't know. Some people stand really close to you in the elevator. Okay, here's an example.
Yeah.
This old dude who drives an ice cream truck was near this is random, but was near my mom's house when we were dropping off Bennett. And so of course we saw the ice cream truck and I was like, well, let's get ice cream from the ice cream truck. So then he parks and he's like, oh, hey, little man, is that your girlfriend? And I was like,
to who?
Sorry. To Bennett.
Okay.
And Bennett's like, no, that's my mom.
Yeah.
And like, I awkwardly laughed, but this is weird. And he goes, oh,
how old is he?
The man?
Yeah.
Like 70s?
Yeah, 80s? There you go. 70.
Right. But then he's like, oh, okay, then she's up for grabs.
70.
Right. That doesn't mean he didn't have kids that also learned that behavior.
That doesn't mean he did either.
I haven't met his children. What are they like?
I don't know, but I can say enough times where I've heard people like, my dad is weird and creepy and old. And like, I don't think that's an automatic assumption that there is a through line to the children with the same behavior.
But you asked.
Asked what?
Where is there a situation where you'd be uncomfortable?
Well, that would make me uncomfortable.
Did that guy like physically assault me or threaten to physically assault me? No. Did I feel uncomfortable? Absolutely.
Of course. You don't think that guys get the same treatment from older women?
Did my young son experience and witness somebody speaking to a female that way?
That's not a young man though. That's okay. Sorry. Maybe I'm when I think of current male population, I think of like the at most Gen X, like Gen Z, millennial, Gen X parameters. I don't think of old guys because like obviously I don't identify with what most old guys identify with.
And I can almost guarantee you that if you go into a locker room of a high school team right now, it's still pretty gross. We went to a rugby game.
Yeah.
And Sean's big on like positive rugby. Like rugby is everybody's included. We are a family. We support each other. It's very, very like, I don't know what you want to call that. Inclusive.
Yeah.
And Wyatt started playing. So we went to a tournament on the weekend and the opposite team, the coach is like, get the fucking ball. Why are you such fucking idiot? You can't do this. I'm like,
that mentality, that coaching mentality isn't a male exclusive trait though.
Then there was a timeout and Wyatt's team is just drinking water and settling. And a couple of the grade 12 boys come over and they're like, you guys are acting like pussies. You got to get your dicks out of your hands and play this game. So tell me that this generation is different.
I see it when I see a bunch of grade 12 boys being tolerant and like allowing a special needs person to play basketball with them and then let them score.
That's beautiful.
Right. I think you're looking at all the negative. I think it's changed a lot.
I'm sure I could find some positive experiences, but that does not mean
I
that
think
this generation is free from causing harm.
I see. I think the problem is that while the sport language might continue to perpetuate, I think the behavior outside of it isn't the same as it used to be 40 years ago.
It shouldn't be because all of that behavior is now illegal. So
the point is it's changed a lot. And the point is that
I think it needs to change more.
Of course it needs to change more. We all need to change more.
Hence why at some point, maybe in the future, bear versus man will get picked.
Yeah, I don't think that'll ever happen though, because I think men are always going to be more physically overpowering than women. But
not as threatening as a bear.
I think that the threatening component is misplaced danger. I think that the thing is that in an elevator, first of all, I don't talk to anyone and I'm always standing in the corner anyways, because I don't want to talk to anyone. And even if I do strike up a conversation with someone, it's, hey, how's it going? Or a smile. And like, that's it. But even just sitting at the pool the other day, I was like happy to sit on my phone, watch Ali swim, and some mom just kept talking to me. And I'm like, I just don't feel like talking to you. So
did you say that?
No.
Oh, I'm curious if you would have that kind of boundary. Good for you if you did.
No, but I wouldn't with anybody because that's such an awful thing to say. She's obviously just bored and I'm going to just like chat with her, you know, and keep in mind, okay, I know this is probably more rare, but it's equally uncomfortable and obviously not dangerous, but it's equally uncomfortable when older women are very obviously like hitting on younger men. And it happens a lot.
Have you watched Baby Reindeer?
No, I'm not watching Baby Reindeer.
It's uncomfortable.
I know. My mom was watching it.
I didn't think I have a limit, but I think I have a limit.
What's the premise again?
It's a man who's being stalked by a woman.
Yeah. I guess the thing is, okay, there's nothing more for me to do as the individual. I can't do any better. I can't not assault people any less or be any less creepy. Like it's just not a thing. And I think I know a lot of people like me who are also equally not able to be any less creepy. There are a certainly large group of men who are very creepy and incelish, but also it's a graduation. I don't think that all those men are also perpetuators of serious physical violence or harm. They might be a little flirtatious and creepy, but I'm not ready to just conflate them and be like, just because you're flirtatious and creepy, you're also like a criminal. Like that's not fair, right?
It isn't fair. But I do think you should watch Baby Reindeer so that we could...
My mom was telling me about
it. Have a discussion less about... There's assault against the male in this, which doesn't get talked about very much and should be talked about more, I think.
Yeah, 1 in 6 boys.
Yeah. So, but his actions and like thoughts throughout it, like throughout the whole series, is fascinating. It's just so like, I don't know how to explain it without ruining it.
No, that's fair. I was watching part of it with my mom, so I will watch it because it captured my attention on several moments.
But it's very uncomfortable. Like I don't go in knowing that.
I was watching. I remember being like, this is weird. Okay. So I want you to consider, and you're right. I know lots of women would pick the man. It's not the fact that they did, and I didn't know this. It bothers me that they did because I know that not all men are like that. So my concern here is that with any overcorrection, you disenfranchise the population who wasn't the perpetuators of the reason why you're overcorrecting, right?
But you overcorrect in order to learn the balance.
That's what I mean. And so the concern here is that in the process of correcting, by overcorrecting, you are definitely pointing out men, but it's not a targeted surgical approach. It tends to be way more breadth shotgun. And it does tend to put a lot of men who have attempted to be model citizens in every aspect, both socially and criminally. It puts them in a position of like, well, if you're just going to tell me I'm shit because I'm a man, I'm going to be offended by that.
But why do you need to be? You know where it's coming from. You know you're not that person.
Okay, well, I can tell you.
So why do you have to be like, well, don't villainize me? Why can't you just go, I understand where you're coming from. That sucks.
No, because I can tell you more than a handful of times in my life through school and work, I have been told that I am the problem. And not just I individually, but I as a population. And I'm tired of that. I don't need to be told I'm the problem to understand there's a problem. Right. So like, for example, I sat down at a bar when I was like 21 years old, and it was a friend, and then they brought another friend, and there's another friend. And this girl at the time was like, I'm a feminist. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, great. I think we should all be feminists. She's like, you can't be a feminist. You're not, you're a man. You don't understand. I'm like, I just met you and you're already vilifying me. Like, fuck off. Honestly, like that doesn't help. Like,
sure, but can you not acknowledge that there is no way for you to understand?
Of course I can't understand your perspective, but I can at least try and empathize to the best of my ability, not be told I'm a villain. No, right?
Like, I would agree. I don't think she handled it well.
That's my problem.
However, and I do think people who identify as male can be feminists.
Of course not, because we can never understand.
No,
like
I said, you can. You can. Well, no,
we can be in the sense of we can understand the plight, but we can never understand the experience.
You could social advocate from a feminist lens.
Yeah, and I do.
All day long.
I do.
But she is right. You can't understand the lived experience.
But she wouldn't even be willing to have a dialogue about why I'm not the villain. Right?
No, I didn't say it was right.
No, and that's what I mean. This is not one instance. This is not an isolated. This is many times where it's like, well, if you guys just did differently. It's like, well, I can't actually do any differently. Maybe you should be a little more targeted with your accusations.
But you can't be until you're in danger.
No, I get that. But you can say like, I don't know who you are. I assume that you're not. Like, I think the whole guilty, it's like guilty before proven innocence kind of thing. It's sure. It's like French law.
But it also kind of argues that it's on the female to then do the labor for the male to understand why it would be an issue.
No, I don't expect them to do any labor. I expect you to come at me with neutrality, not knowing who I am. Not in the forest situation. You're allowed to feel on guard. I get that until I make you feel safe. Until I come out in the forest, my hands be like, hey, we're in a forest proverbially and we're trapped out here. What are we doing? How do we survive? Okay, I get that. But also like in the context of sitting down and meeting somebody, if you immediately see me as a villain, that is a problem.
Okay. I didn't say her reaction was not correct. Not her,
but again.
But if I were alone in an elevator, I'm not coming at the random dude who's in there with me with neutrality. I'm in my corner.
I guess it depends on when it is and where you are.
And the kind of feeling I get. Dudes like to use their height as like a...
Maybe I can... Okay, so maybe you're... And understandably, everybody, and I obviously have my own bias. Maybe you have a bias too because of your experiences in these situations.
Sure, but I think every female has had experiences in these situations.
I'm like slightly above average height, but I don't think I use my height.
I don't think all males do, but some do. And I don't even think they're doing it consciously or intentionally. Mm-hmm. That doesn't make it not intimidating. Yes. So would I villainize that guy? No. But does he need to know you need to step the fuck back? Because this makes me uncomfortable?
Like, again, I don't get close to people. And I don't think all men do. And that's what I'm arguing for the point of like, there are many, many men who are not physical presences and keep to themselves. Many. There's nothing more they can do.
Learn.
I already know. What else am I supposed to do?
Would you go into an elevator with the conscious idea that if I'm alone and there's another person in here who might be uncomfortable with me?
Yes, I do it every time I get into the elevator at daycare because it's often moms. And every time I pick up Allie, I am already in the corner and I put my head down and look at my phone.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's right that it's default to villain. Mm-hmm. For all men, because we even had when I worked at Biggs, we had a guy who did the like Hockey Heroes program, and he was amazing. Yeah. But he'd have he'd have to have a conversation with one of the kiddos who wasn't behaving or whatever, and it would be him, and he'd have to make sure he brought somebody else with him. Yeah. And I was like, why, dude? Like, just have a conversation with the kid. And he's like, I can't. Yeah,
it's unfortunate. I think the problem is that I just don't think, and whether or not you're correct about the fact that be better, I think unfortunately, if you go about it in such, not you, but if the dialogue is such an absolute, it's going to create hostility because you create an adversarial landscape. And men who were probably neutral are now feeling attacked. And even if they aren't actually going to do anything, they feel offended by it. And I'm pretty tolerant because I get it. Like, whatever, I don't care. This honestly doesn't bother me that much because I'm not really worried about it because I'm not going to hurt anyone. But I can tell you that I know a lot of like slightly more moderately leaning men who aren't actually creepy, who feel like profoundly attacked by this. And that's the problem when you create an adversarial landscape when it's like, you need to be better.
I don't, and I wouldn't say be better. I would say when you know better, do better. But you can't know better. So there are guys who would get into that elevator who are very friendly and very nice and not a threat to me that would have no idea. And they're just like, Sean in an elevator would talk anybody's ear off. Yeah. But he'd talk anybody's ear off on the street. Like, that's just who he is.
Yeah, totally.
For somebody like that, who's coming in with nothing but good intentions, that does not mean the other person does not feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. I guess the question is if I have no intent to harm, is it my duty to make you feel comfortable if I'm just being a normal human?
I think at this point, kind of, yeah.
Well, that's an overcorrection that probably will have to swing back at some point.
It will. It'll balance out. But in this moment, this generation has to bear the burdens of the one before them.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But the point is that, and I know it's changed because working with teens, they are super all about consent. Come on.
Enthusiastic consent is the thing we talk about all the time.
They are very into the consent thing. They find it very interesting. And I know it's changed because every high school student I talk to is all about like, did you ask consent? Like, yeah, consent. Like, they're all into they almost like make it kind of a bit cool to be consensual. Right. And it has changed.
It doesn't mean they're not spreading pictures of their girlfriend or the boyfriend or whoever.
Totally. Keep in mind, this doesn't just happen with men, though. This happens with teenage girls, too. They spread pictures of guys.
I do not disagree. And I do think there is a bias there where if a girl, sends a picture to all of her friends and someone finds out about it, nothing often happens.
No, the guy often goes, I guess my dick's just out there.
Yeah. But the other way around, I've known kids who are 15, who have child pornography distribution charges.
No, totally. And you also shouldn't have those types of charges if you're both underage. Like, I don't really know.
And it just sucks. Like, that's a stupid mistake they made, and that's going to stay with them forever.
Yeah. I do think that like there's some like a bit of absolutism happening in the criminal justice system when it's like you're both 15.
But I think that's the overcorrection, right? We need to, I don't know, scare you enough that people stop doing it.
Yeah. Again, the thing is I cannot do any differently because I'm pretty quiet and keep to myself. And I know I do this all day. So when I get into an elevator with a female, I can tell that her nervous system is higher alert.
But you would. Somebody who is not a psychologist, who is not primed to body language. But I do witness
a lot of like what appear to be like more blue collar working men picking up their sons and daughters at daycare. I witnessed them getting in the elevator, and they are also kind of, they just like almost magnetized to the corner and put their head down, like when we were with other women in there. So I do think that they're conscious of this. I don't see it as much as it used to be.
Okay, well, maybe it's swinging in the right direction.
Well, of course it is. Again, I just think that there's like political discourse. It's dangerous to say fall in line now or you're the villain because you create problems.
Who said that?
Well, it does happen a lot. Come on. You don't hear it because you're not a male. And I'm not saying males are disenfranchised. I'm saying that males there are, that whole Korean no dating men thing. Like, there's like a bit of like an absolutism, like all men are bad narrative that does exist in maybe small kind of pockets, but that's a problem, right?
If you didn't have that hyper awareness, there might be bigger problems.
Maybe. I don't know. I just think the thing is that you maybe are pushing away allies more than you realize.
Probably, but with the notion that the alternative is much worse.
Yeah, that's maybe where I disagree on the numbers, because the alternative actually might not be worse in the bigger picture.
You don't know that until after.
Yeah, but that's
so you could be my ally, but you also couldn't be. And so either I just don't have you as an ally, or something bad happens to me.
Then the point here is that these women obviously have some like male perpetuated trauma.
Maybe. It was a guy who was answering the question.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And again, his biases are also very interesting to me. But the point is that like, okay, if you play this out in a different situation, it's like if you are a victim of a crime from like a religious leader, you're always going to have that ick feeling when you're near a priest or a rabbi or something, right? Mm-hmm. Is it that priest's job to make you feel comfortable?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe that's a bad example, but like in an elevator, I don't know. Like, how would they know that you're, or more specifically, if you have like some sort of like inanimate object trauma, is it the person's job to like know that? Like if you were hit by a car, is it my job to understand that?
I think, is it your job to have empathy and kindness and open mind? Yeah.
If I know, yeah.
But here's the thing.
How am I supposed to know?
But you're a chatty Cathy in the elevator. You come up, you want to have a conversation with me. You're standing way too close. And I say, I need you to back up.
Well, that's a different situation.
Now I'm a bitch.
No,
and how
you're
rude
not.
Of her to have said that to me in the elevator when I was just being friendly.
Never, ever.
I'm not saying you.
No, I know.
But that absolutely happens.
Yeah, so I would hope you would back up.
Then the female now is being villainized because she asked for space.
Yeah, well, that's not okay, obviously, right? I agree with you. Like, don't be that sort of like physical presence. Don't be that into somebody that quickly. Right. I get that. But like, I just don't think that happens as much as like you think it does.
All I have to say is that this was not about couples therapy.
That's okay. This is actually a good conversation. No, I guess the thing is like, I am a little concerned with how do people create relationships if we're not allowed to talk to each other?
What do you mean?
Time
and place.
Men and women both complain to me, and this is actually a good segue to when we actually do couples next week. Men and women are like, no one talks anymore. No one talks in grocery stores. No one talks in elevators. No one talks in places. It's like, yeah, I know they don't. It's like, well, what if a guy's like, oh, I'm attracted to this girl. We're both the same age. We're at a daycare. It's like, am I allowed to say, hey, how's it going? Do you want to grab a coffee? Like, hey, you seem like my kids go here. Like, are you allowed to do that? Like, or are you just supposed to shut up and never talk to anyone? No,
I think you can say, hey, how's it going? And then the next time you can say, how's life? What's new? And the next time you could say, maybe we set up a play date for our kids.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that. Like, that's what I mean.
You don't go, hey, how's it going? You want to go for coffee?
No, of course not. But that's what happens in movies, both male and female side, right?
But that's not how it looks in real life.
No, but women do that too. But no one would have a problem with a woman doing that, unfortunately. And most men would be ecstatic, I'm imagining, because it feels good to be hit on. Because women have not power in the context of deciding who they are interested in. They have a little bit more ability to acquire, I think.
Maybe.
Come on. Every time I have this conversation with girls,
I'm not like, sliding into a rabbit hole. We're 6 minutes past our time.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think the point is I don't disagree with you. I just think that the proportions are maybe not as bad as you think they are.
From the female perspective,
I can't have that perspective.
I go, it's better to be safe than sorry. So I'm not ever going to be friends with that dude in the elevator who could have been a very nice guy. Yeah. I'm also safe. So
yeah, no, I mean, that's fair. I don't want to be friends with you either. Not you, but like, I don't want to be friends with the random mom in the elevator either. Like, I don't have no interest in that.
But you're losing an ally at a very like micro level.
Yeah. You are losing an ally because that guy who might just be friendly, who's actually like a huge proponent for like, the rights and equity and equality of women.
I'm going to assume he will still be like that when he leaves the elevator. So I still have an ally.
But I have instances where men feel really offended by that. And they're like, why do I even do this? Because I'm just the villain either way. Not that they're going to go do it, but they just get disillusioned with it. And they're not going to do anything, but that disillusionment makes me sad.
And I think the disillusionment for women is that I can just be safe in my body no matter where I am.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, this is ultimately always going to be a thing when there's physical size differences. You would not be afraid of a guy who's 5'1". A small, petite 5'1" man, you're just not going to feel that way.
I might still be creeped out by him if he's standing too close to me in an elevator and won't shut up.
I think I would be creeped out too if a woman were doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think this is a gender issue.
Or if somebody who's 5'1" feels like he's walking directly behind me and I can't seem to get him.
But in my experience, I also feel uncomfortable when older women hit on me.
As you should.
I don't feel danger, but I feel uncomfortable.
But should anybody make anybody feel uncomfortable?
No, I totally agree with you. We're on the same page.
Sort of.
Sort of. I just think you're a female and I'm a male, and this is always going to be like the discourse.
Probably.
Yeah. I will it change? Maybe. As there are size differences, there will always be probably a sense of I could be in danger here.
Sure. I don't like to think that I villainize the entire male population.
I don't think you do either. That's why I'm kind of surprised at your like polarized rhetoric right now.
From a female perspective, I know what it's like to contemplate that. The question, do I know the male? I don't know the male. He's a stranger. What does he look like? What does this be? I would need more information.
What if he's hot?
That doesn't matter. Is he a serial killer? Because what's his face was hot.
Who?
Ted Bundy.
Was he?
He was pretty attractive.
Jeffrey Dahmer wasn't.
No. But you know what I mean? Like hot is not, okay, then that's fine. But I think that's men who go, obviously the male, and women who go, I need more information about the man before I can make that choice.
Yeah.
Because the default isn't safety.
No, and that's the thing. It's never been, and it needs to be. I agree. But until we have a population or a society where like crossing that line is like an immediate euthanasia, I'm not sure what the answer is. Like it has to be such a dangerous thing to do to be a perpetuator. Like it has to be so abhorrent and from a societal perspective that it's just not even considered. But
I will say that I do give props to majority of this generation of identifying males because they are learning and trying to do better. So I know a lot of people who come and say, I'm so embarrassed of my behavior as a teenager. It's so gross. And this is what I'm doing differently. Yeah. And that's kind of the key. You can't do better until you know better. And then when you know better, do better. But I would never say be better. It's not a biological fault. No, it's societal training, and you need to come out of that.
Any sort of embarrassment from my teenage behavior, even with girls. I don't. I was never like that. I actually made a point of thinking it was ridiculous to sit there and objectify women in a locker room. I thought that was weird.
Right. But you might be the minority in that group.
Well, probably in that group. And again, those are teenage boys. They grew up really quick and I know them now and like they're different. Right. And like, so I don't see it that way anymore. But
they had to get to a place where they went, you're right. This is uncomfortable and gross behavior. They did have to be better.
I also don't consider, I do have a graduation system in my mind where it's like, if you're going to sit there and objectify women, okay, that's one thing. But to be a perpetrator is a different thing. They're not in the same vein. The capacity for that person is not there.
But they're on the same spectrum.
They're on the same.
And I think we all objectify and judge.
And downloading music is on the same spectrum as stealing a car, but it's not the same thing.
No, but where's the line then? When is it okay and not okay?
It's not okay, none of it, but one is a crime and one is not. Right. And I get one's a cultural
crime.
Cultural crime. You're right. One is not. One is ethically or morally maybe problematic, and one is actually harmful physically, and they're both harmful. I get that.
I think the issue is that objectifying them can then lead to actual physical harm.
It probably could in the one person who has the propensity to do that. Yeah.
And that one person is enough.
And I agree. We should all be better to make sure that one person doesn't do that.
Do better.
But I don't think it's fair to say that everyone's the villain because they do that, because women do objectify men too.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. So, you're right. Okay. I'm glad we could have this conversation.
I don't know. That took a turn.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do we even call this episode? I'm just going to say welcome to Psyched Out right now.
Bear or man?
Bear versus man?
Bear or man?
The plight of the male disenfranchisement.
Yeah, look, it's on like Instagram.
Yeah. What do I name this?
Bear or man?
Bear versus man.
It's just bear or man.
Bear or man.
Yeah. Who would you pick?
Yeah. I'm picking the man every time.
I would need more information about the man.
I don't need more information about the bear.
Do I have bear spray with me? Because,
Okay, if you get bear spray, then you get a shotgun as well with the man.
Okay. Then I'm fine with either.
Then you're fine with actually, no, I'd still pick the man because the shotgun might not, render the bear inert.
Okay, I'm Lindsay.
I'm Steven. See you later.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Not only is your feedback incredibly valuable, but it also helps recommend the show to other curious minds like yourself.